Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really incredible, deeply personal journey. We're going to look at what happens when you take on a challenge that just feels absolutely terrifying and how that can completely transform your perspective in almost no time at all. We'll be following the documented logs of a creator named Noor. Noor decided to do something super daunting, learn Russian from absolute scratch. But, right off the bat, I want to say this isn't just a story about memorizing vocabulary. No way. It's really a blueprint for conquering fear, hacking the psychology of learning, and honestly, adopting a whole new worldview.
Let's look at this quote. 26 days ago, Russian looked impossible to me. How many times have we all felt exactly like that? You're standing at the starting line of a huge challenge, you look up at that mountain, and it just seems entirely too steep. Noor's journey starts right there, with that stark, universally relatable feeling of just pure impossibility. When you start something from absolute zero, the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels massive, right? The alphabet is completely different, the sounds are entirely foreign, the grammar is a maze. It looks literally impossible. But the key word here is looked.
And that brings us to the time frame here, just 26 days. What's wild about this number is just how short it is, less than a month. Think about what you were doing exactly 26 days ago. It kind of feels like yesterday, doesn't it? In the grand scheme of things, 26 days is just a blink. Now, obviously, you aren't going to become perfectly fluent in a complex new language in 26 days. But as Noor's logs show us, while it won't give you perfection, it is incredibly impactful. It's more than enough time to kickstart a massive emotional and psychological transformation.
So, let's take it back to this start. Day 1. The fear. We really have to look at the very beginning to grasp the magnitude of Noor's shift. On day 1, there was no excitement. It wasn't about feeling inspired. It was just immense intimidation. When we talk about learning something new, we always focus on the mechanics, like what app should I use, what textbook should I buy? But we rarely talk about the emotional barriers, the terror of feeling totally incompetent, the fear of sounding silly. Look at what Noor wrote. I couldn't read Russian. I was scared to even pronounce words. The earliest barrier wasn't technical. It was pure paralysis. Just think about that. Actually being scared to open your mouth and try speaking. It wasn't about getting the grammar wrong. It was the fear of attempting something so utterly foreign. When you try to learn a really difficult skill, your brain's self-preservation instinct just kicks in. It wants to protect you from failure, so it freezes you. This initial struggle is literally a textbook example of early-stage learning paralysis.
Fast forward a bit. Day 26. The shift.
Now, by this point in the timeline, Noor totally admits they aren't perfectly fluent. The pronunciation isn't flawless. But they make this absolutely crucial observation. They are fundamentally not the same person they were on day 1. On day 1, Noor was terrified to even try. But by day 26, I don't panic anymore. This is huge. The crucial point here is this massive leap in emotional regulation. In under a month, Noor went from an active state of total fear to a steady, manageable calm. That paralyzing fear of the unknown, gone. Replaced by the emotional baseline you actually need to learn effectively. The loud noise of panic in the brain has been turned down, which finally allows the mind to actually process new information.
Which leads us perfectly into our next point, confidence over vocabulary.
When we try to track our progress in a language, or really any complex subject, what do we usually look at? We count how many flashcards we've memorized or how many chapters we've finished, right? But this journey forces us to completely pivot our focus. As Noor puts it, the biggest difference is not vocabulary, it's confidence. This is such a powerful takeaway for this explainer. The true victory of these first 26 days is not measured by the sheer volume of Russian grammar rules memorized. Nope, it's measured by the steady, undeniable growth of self-assurance. It's that shift from feeling totally overwhelmed to feeling genuinely capable. When you build confidence, you're laying down the foundation that all your future technical skills are going to rest on. Without it, every new word is a grueling struggle. But with it, every new word is just a fun opportunity.
So here's what that newfound confidence looks like in real time. Because the panic is gone, Noor can now actually engage in a really clear, tangible 3-step process. Step 1, listen. Step 2, search for meaning. Step 3, respond. Do you notice what's missing from that list? There is no step 1.5, freak out. When that panic is completely out of the picture, the brain finally has the bandwidth to just listen, calmly search its memory banks for the translation, and then formulate a response. This structured, logical approach is only possible because that massive emotional barrier was systematically broken down over those 26 days.
Привет. Спасибо. Хорошо. Почему? Давай. Я учусь. Now, these are basic Russian words. Hello.
thank you, good, why, let's go, I am learning. But we aren't looking at these as a language lesson. Actually, they're more like narrative artifacts. As Noor points out, these words used to mean absolutely nothing. They were just these intimidating alien symbols. But now, they are symbols of conquered fears. Every single one of these words represents a tiny battle won against that day one paralysis. They aren't just vocabulary anymore. They're hard-earned trophies of persistence.
And that brings us to the big picture, a new worldview.
As we zoom out from the specific Russian vocabulary, this really profound philosophical takeaway starts to emerge. You see, learning a difficult skill isn't just a party trick or some fancy new bullet point for your resume. When you successfully break down that initial wall of panic and replace it with genuine confidence, something much, much deeper happens to your internal psychology. Noor says it perfectly. It changes how you see the world. Learning a language, or tackling any monumental task for that matter, changes way more than just your abilities. It fundamentally alters your perspective on life. When you realize that you can slowly conquer something that looked downright impossible just 26 days ago, you naturally start to wonder, well, what else am I wrong about? What other impossible mountains in my life are actually just waiting for me to endure a few weeks of discomfort? You don't just learn a new skill. You learn that your own perceived limits are completely artificial.
Moving on to our final section, the journey continues. Reaching this incredible milestone of confidence isn't the finish line. Not at all. In a lot of ways, conquering that initial fear is really just unlocking the front door. The real work, that long, dedicated road to mastery and true fluency, that all still lies ahead. As Noor wonderfully puts it, this is day 26, and I'm only getting started. There is such a profound sense of gratitude here for the journey so far, but also this immense, eager hunger for what comes next. And Noor passes on the ultimate encouragement to anyone following along. If you are trying to learn something difficult right now, whatever it is, do not stop. Seriously, the panic will fade, the confidence will build. You just have to endure the discomfort long enough to let that mental shift happen. So I want to leave you with this final, provocative question to think about. What difficult thing will you start learning today? We've seen exactly how pushing past the paralysis of day one can lead to an entirely new worldview in less than a single month. You've got the blueprint right in front of you. The only thing left to do is choose your mountain, embrace that initial fear, and take your first step. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I sincerely hope you take this inspiration and run with it in your own life. Get out there and conquer your